welcome to a very special, should we call it special, episode of Miles Offside, a bonus. It's probably going to be one of the most self-indulgent 30 minutes, 45, let's see how it goes, of listening that you'll ever hear. I'm with the other British third of Miles
British
Offside.
third.
Yeah.
2/3.
Hi, Chuck.
We have the
How
majority. We all voted for. I'm good. Thanks, mate. Sorry.
Sorry.
Very well. I am. Well, I say very well. I'm currently. I would say I'm in medium-term COVID.
Right.
I had short-term COVID.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the long COVID to set in, so I'm sort of just in the mediums of it at the minute. And I'm ready to be taken on a journny. I don't really know what I've signed up for.
No, well, yeah, I should explain. So it's quite good that we're the British 2/3 of this, because I'm not sure there's ever been a more British story than this, if I'm absolutely honest.
I think in as many Venn diagrams as you can make, they just end up being a circle.
Yeah.
It's just so many, just a very, very thick-lined circle Venn diagram of tabloid drama, football, scandal, things falling in the sea. You know, all of the most British things.
Yeah, obviously. And, maybe there's something for the American listeners that we've got, because it gets litigious. So... something for the Americans. So let's talk about what we're to discuss. It's the phenomenon that is Wagatha Christie. Colleen Rooney's whodunit about who was leaking stories to the press, specifically the Sun newspaper. Not like them to ever do anything morally ambiguous. But yeah, so I mean, how much awareness of WAG
back?
How far back do we go?
Should we go? Because since this came out, I remember you being so excited about Wagatha Christie, and I'm sure you were the first. But I'm pretty sure you invented that. Was the speed with which you acknowledged it, and really kind of ran with this as such a phenomenon. I mean, it does help that you get to work in the daily news cycle, so get to enjoy these things where some of us don't.
Yeah.
But I think we need to go right back to how it became known as Wagatha Christie and
absolutely
all of it.
Well, let's just go to the post
This
itself.
is fully part 1 of 21, by the way, everyone.
It might be.
I think.
It might be.
Based on what you've told me and the thickness of your book of notes, I'm quite scared. I might pop out, make my dinner and come back in a bit.
Please don't, because that was the other thing. Right, the reason I'm doing this, actually, that's a good point, because I need to explain this, is our Patreons requested, believe it or not, me to do a Wagatha Christie pod, and obviously I will oblige that. And the thing was, then I was convinced by you and Oscar that it should go on the main feed, but no one wants a monologue. The Patreons do, but they're idiots. They'll pay for any old muck. They wanted a monologue, but I thought, if we're going to put this on the main feed, I can't just be reading, as you say, my book of notes about Wagatha Christie. Did I make it before we were doing this pod? Who knows? Scrapbooking is a pastime, but. So
you've been making some lovely collages.
Absolutely. But no, I needed to tell someone the story, albeit I know you know certain bits of it. I needed to tell someone the story if we're going to put it on the main feed. So let's go back.
And I also wanted to make sure I got to hear it before anyone else as well. I'm very selfish in that way. Good. Plus, can't read, so I'm so up to date with this.
Good. Okay, so let me take you back. It's the 9th of October, 2019. It's a simpler time.
How many years from the Summer of Love?
I didn't work that one out, actually, so that's annoying. But
44?
Yeah, something like that.
1975? Yeah, anyway.
Something like that. But it was a simpler time. There was no COVID, and we did not know the Twitter storm that was about to happen. So Colleen Rooney, obviously wife of Wayne Rooney, and she posted, and I'm going to read the whole thing, this on her Instagram. For a few years now, someone who I trusted to follow me on my personal Instagram account has been consistently informing the Sun newspaper of my private posts and stories. There has been so much information given to them about me, my friends and my family, all without my permission or knowledge. After a long time of trying to figure out who it could be, for various reasons I had a suspicion. To try and prove this, I came up with an idea. I blocked everyone from viewing my Instagram stories, except one account. Brackets, those on my private account must have been wondering why I haven't been putting stories on there for a while.
This is how the sting began. Although, just to try and understand something, she must have had some suspicions if instantly, like there wasn't like a whittling down process. There wasn't like a week one, right, let's just put out a few things and gradually try and narrow it down into subsets. She just went straight for one.
Yeah, I think possibly. I don't know. I mean, I get the sense that they never particularly got on, as will become apparent. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how deep it went with the whittling down. Actually, I think she's got a lot of time on her hands, even though she's got 4 kids. And well, yeah. Let me carry on with the rest of it, because over the past 5 months. 5 months.
As many as 5.
Yeah. I have posted a series of false stories to see if they made their way into the Sun newspaper. And you know what? They did. The story about gender selection in Mexico, the story about returning to TV, and then the latest story about the basement flooding in my new house. It's been tough keeping it to myself and not making any comment at all, especially when the stories have been leaked. However, I had to. Now I know for certain which account, / individual, it's come from. I have saved and screenshotted all the original stories which clearly show just one person has viewed them. It's followed by 10 dots.
It's about 10.
Something like that. I can't count. I can't see how many there is, but yeah, something like that. Rebecca Vardy's account. And that's the end of the post.
Rebecca Vardy's account. Doom, doom.
And I mean, Twitter.
Can we put in like? Is this going to be like a true crime series where we've got a suspicious bed under the whole thing, and then you get those like pounding, like boom, boom,
spoiler like
an NCIS.
Law and Order, or
yeah.
Well, spoiler alert, I'm going to have to put some bleeps in later. So, but I was hoping to not do too much editing. So then Twitter exploded with this. People were stunned. And as you've mentioned, I absolutely fucking loved it. I recently said to you guys on the pod that my favourite thing about football isn't the actual football, it's the soap opera of it. And I think this possibly confirmed that. This is tangentially related to football, but is 100% soap opera, and I fucking loved it. So it wasn't sadly me who coined Wagatha Christie. It was comedian Dan Atkinson who tweeted Colin Rooney Wagatha Christie. He misspelled Wagatha as well, which probably annoys him still now.
It's a shame.
But the best pun hashtag I've ever seen was born. People jumped on it so much because Colin Rooney's one of the more private of the wags. You know, she doesn't do... Yeah. I mean, I know we have the odd hello, photo shoot or whatever. But she's not one who is constantly... I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like she's not one that's constantly... It didn't feel like it
because they were together when they were very young, weren't they?
Yeah.
He was with her when he got his professional deal with Everton, I'm sure.
Yeah, they were childhood sweethearts type thing.
Yeah.
So she didn't marry a footballer per se, he sort of became a footballer and they were all already together, really. But yeah, her deciding to massively publicly, hugely dramatically accuse someone else of infringing her privacy. It was just my favourite day on Twitter ever, as you've suggested. I came home from work and was just the whole afternoon. I was just sat in front of...
Skipping with glee.
It was so good because I love things like this where, and it happens occasionally with proper news like Boris resigning, whatever, where Twitter for a moment everyone's talking about the same thing, or certainly in your sort of bubble, everyone's talking about the same thing. No one's interested about anything else. Meme. It's just, everyone's focused on it. Everyone was like, have you seen this? Has Rebecca Vardy responded yet? Just What an incredible thing Colleen felt
Just an
she had to
absolute
do.
whirlwind of refresh the timeline, timeline, share to this person, share to that person. It just,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. That's
It's
just
so
joyous.
good when it's like that. I've picked out some choice tweets from the day. I haven't actually got a name on this one, but it was, welcome to the best UK Twitter day since we all found out that our then Prime Minister had probably sexually interfered with a farmyard animal.
Yeah.
That was a good day as well.
That was a day.
Richard Osman, I will vote.
Wasn't that actually proved? Hang on. Just for our American listeners, wasn't that that was confirmed, wasn't it? Animal wasn't alive, but he did things.
I'm not sure. Certainly by more than one person, it was corroborated. I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Leaves a sour taste, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just? Yeah.
For the pig.
Indeed. Black Mirror turned out to. Well, yeah. Anyway, everyone knows that one.
Just turned out to be a mirror.
Yeah, indeed. Richard Osman tweeted, I will vote for any political party who agree to immediately give us the rest of the day off so we can follow this thing properly. Which is definitely how I felt. Right, Cy Lloyd tweeted, is Wayne Rooney still moving to Derby, or was that just Colleen having Rebecca Vardy on and it's gone too far? Which was a good one. So within half an hour, Rebecca Vardy had posted her response.
Mm-hmm.
She put, I never speak to anyone about you. So she's aiming it at Colleen, even though she puts it publicly. I never speak to anyone about you, as various journalists who have asked me to over the years can vouch for. If you thought this was happening, you could have told me and I could have changed passwords to see if it stopped already, popping in the sort of security
already
angle
they're in that way admitting, it was from my account.
Over the years, various people have had access to my Insta, and just this week I found out I was following people I didn't know and have never followed myself.
Which I'm pretty sure is a breach of terms and conditions, Rebecca. And you shouldn't be giving out your username and password to people.
Yeah. I'm not being funny, but I don't need the money. What would I gain from selling stories on you?
Yeah, because no one rich ever did anything terrible. Thanks,
to get
Rebecca.
More money. I liked you a lot, Colleen, and I'm so upset that you've chosen to do this, especially when I'm heavily pregnant. I'm disgusted that I'm even having to deny this. You should have called me the first time this happened. And that is all that happened on the day, the best day of my life. So, yeah, the thing that amazes me is that Colleen, who, as I say, I don't really think massively courted the press. People might have other opinions on that, I'm not sure. Didn't just, I don't know, block Rebecca Vardy or as Rebecca Vardy says, air her suspicions privately. She actively thought, I want to try and catch the culprit in a watertight sting operation and then publicly shame them. I mean, do you not think that's a hell of a thing for anyone to decide to do, let alone someone in the public eye like she is? I mean, if you did that, I'd be like, fucking hell, Chuck. That's a mad thing to do.
It's like mastermindingly vindictive, I think, to go full. I mean, first of all, to make sure it's like ridiculous things like, yes, we went to Mexico to discuss gender reassignment for our children.
Gender selection, to be fair.
Gender selection,
gender
sorry.
Reassignment.
Sorry, that's a bit earlier in the process, I guess. And then obviously, her saying that Wayne was going to Derby County, and he just had to go through with it in the end.
I love that. That was one of my favourite tweets, that one. But so do you think she... Yeah, because like I say, there were these stories about her that she'd written off her car, that her basement had flooded. I mean, she was putting things, I don't know, just on the right side of believable, I guess, that a tabloid would be interested. It shows how fucking dull the things that the Sun... And I'll single out the Sun, will print. Who fucking cares if her basement flooded? If she wrote off her car, as long as everyone's all right.
Architects.
Maybe. Yeah, insurers.
Masons.
Well, perhaps. But I just... It's... Yeah, I don't know. I find it quite... I think she pitched it pretty well. I think gender selection was a bit of a stretch, maybe. She posted a picture of the back of an airline seat, like the captain off to Mexico to check out this gender selection. And I don't know. It just seems a bit. Wouldn't you, if you were friends with her, wouldn't you sort of message her and go, yeah?
It'd be like, I don't know, mate. It feels a bit dodgy.
I mean, you're doing it, fine. Do you want to post that? Seems a bit weird. And you look like you're in economy, which seems weird. But yeah, anyway, so I don't know. It seems I don't really want to come down on either side of this particularly, although I must admit, the more I've been writing, the more I found it hard not to judge one particular side of the story. We'll get to it.
Well, you know, the swing will swung as we go along, I'm sure.
Exactly,
you know,
but it does seem a bit weird, I think, for someone with 4 kids to take the time to sit down, dream these things up that make her sound a bit ridiculous. I don't know. It's taken me a lot of time to write these notes. It must have taken her a lot of time to come up with the sort of the ideas, you know. So yeah, as we said, there was the first picture was the side of a Honda that had been dented with the caption "R.I.P. half a Honda." Considering the story's fake, she makes them look good, you know. A few days later, after she put that, it made it into the papers. Colleen involved in car crash. Colleen, you'll like this, I think. Colleen even then posted saying, "Thank you for the messages asking if I'm okay. The car crash story was completely wrong. I wasn't involved in a crash. The car was damaged by another car." So she's interacting with people after the fact as if it's a real thing. Because
like just away from her Instagram.
Yeah, because it's made it into the papers via an Instagram post that no one saw. And it's just so meta. So she's also posted, and this was a little while afterwards, "Someone on my private Instagram seen the picture and is telling or selling stories to a certain newspaper." So she's now even letting the mole know that she's onto them.
Right.
I mean, did Rebecca, well, of course, if Rebecca Vardy was the one leaking them, you know, did she worry about it at that point? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. If I'd have been leaking stuff to the papers, and I knew that Colleen knew somebody had, I think I'd smell a rat at the point of the gender selection one. Like, I think I'd go, that one's mental. She's trying to drag me in.
See, I don't know, because maybe for us, because we live in some form of semblance of like a usual life.
Yeah.
But, you know, these people are just incredibly rich and don't have to think about these things and live in like a hyperinflated world where you can never tell what's right or ridiculous or whatever. You know, it's So
it's mad though, isn't it?
I can kind of believe that she'd just see it and go, yep, that happened.
Yeah, it's so hard you're right, it's so hard to transplant yourself into that world. And I guess if I'd have read...
And she's probably smashing Skittles vodka and Red Bull all the time with Jamie.
Yeah, true. So
probably
anyway,
not when she's pregnant, I hope.
Maybe not.
Little monster Vardy.
She's very litigious, Chuck. Calm down. She will soon. Well, right. So the last story was the basement flooding one. That was printed in the Sun in early October 2019. So it seemed like that was enough for Colleen to have all the evidence she needed to drop her bombshell.
That was enough.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have a basement in the house.
Yeah.
As well.
Should have known. So at this point, public opinion, I mean, it was firmly behind Colleen. I mean, everyone on Twitter was fucking loving the sting, loving Wagatha Christie.
Mm-hmm.
It was firmly behind Colleen. Rebecca Vardy, never the most popular of characters. Colleen's, I think, always had a touch of the nation's sympathy, both for being married to Wayne Rooney generally, but being, you know, she's been put through the ringer a few times with his activities.
Nans. With
geriatric ladies of the night.
Nans.
Nans.
And boxing drunk.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. That was
good.
Good one. That.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then
getting knocked out in his own
celebration
kitchen
afterwards as well.
That was fantastic.
Scored. Really good stuff. But here's the twist. You know, Rebecca Vardy, she wasn't going to take it lying down. She decided to launch a libel claim for £1 million against Colleen Rooney.
But she doesn't need the money.
She doesn't need the money. No, exactly. Yeah, that's a good. I hadn't even considered that. Actually.
She doesn't need the money. She's rich enough. Ergo, meaning any future money is also unneeded. She currently believes she has sufficient money for the end of her days. Yeah. Libel £1 million. If your name is already potentially mud. How can it be impinged by libel, and B, at this point, she's only said your account.
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it, absolutely. So people, though, were forced to consider, why would she do this unless she could prove that she wasn't the source of the Sun story? I'm personally, at this point in the story, I'm still of the opinion that if the source of the story was someone else who you've given access to your Instagram account, or your security on your account isn't good enough, like in the latter case, you can have some sympathy. You know, if you've just had a pretty weak password or whatever, and you've been hacked, you know, I've got some sympathy for that. But if the leak is someone,
unless it's an FPL team,
yeah, no sympathy then. Honestly, you've got to have a string of I don't even know my FPL password, but you've got to. If it's someone, like if it's an employee, which as you'll see later, it's sort of, you know, that's the way Vardy goes with how she's saying things. Like, I think you still have to bear some responsibility for that. If you've given someone access to your account to represent you online,
you should probably have the right person for that.
And they've used it for nefarious means. I feel like you're sort of, you know, if I do something egregious at work, my employer has some responsibility, some culpability, I feel like. So I don't know. I thought that defence is a little bit defence. I'm saying defence. She's the one who brought the action. I always feel like it's Vardy who is doing the defence.
I think that's what's the main thing here. Is like, although Colleen has obviously controlled the narrative and brought this out in a way to humiliate, it's then Rebecca Vardy that actually instigates legal action.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It is weird. And so, right, so, but, you know, surely it won't make it to court, Chuck. Surely. I mean, because that'd be embarrassing for both parties. So it won't make it to court. I mean, I can't imagine that. When, you've mentioned this actually. So when Colleen's post first dropped, you know, it was very clear that she'd used individual/account. And then at the end, with her perfect ending, she did, it's Rebecca Vardy's account, you know. So do you think that she thought that would be enough to protect her from any legal consequences? I mean, you know, do you think she legaled this? I don't know. At first I thought she must have got legal advice on this. But then I thought if you'd have got legal advice, you wouldn't have done it in the first place.
I read something that, like, it's just she sent it to her brother and he read it. Like, she'd written it down. Much
God, is
like
this a
you
Harry
have,
Kane, Charlie Kane situation?
much like you have, I believe, in a leopard print notebook, which she had in the trial, which we're still light years away from, and at least 17 parts of this podcast away from.
This podcast isn't even going to get to the trial. We're going to cover preliminary hearings and the day itself and what happened. We'll do the trial another day.
I'm wondering if we even get to court at this point. If we even get. How long have we? I haven't got a timer, but I know it's been a while.
I'm not looking at the
I don't care. But yeah, it's whether she did actually send it to her brother, because it feels very lawyered. Even just the fact that it's like account.
Yeah.
Everyone acknowledged at the time, like, that one word is just crucial. It's
doing a lot of heavy lifting, isn't it?
Many heavy lifting. Mostly the dots, but also account.
Yeah, well, you got to put the drama in. But yes, still, you're thinking, you know, a family as wealthy as the Rooneys could consider paying them off out of court, just make it go away. Apparently there were offers on the Rooney side of a mediated outcome, which I think is what a court is. I don't really... Anyway, but you know what I mean, like one that's behind closed doors, I presume. Yeah. But yeah, Vardy, Rebecca Vardy. I will flick, I think, between saying Rebecca, Vardy, Colleen, Rooney. I don't know whether to legal it or not. Do you know what I mean? Surname feels better, but at the same time, when we talk about footballers all the time, I feel like we might think we're meaning Wayne Rooney and Jamie Vardy. So I sort of, I don't know.
They're not involved for ages of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
They're very much, and I enjoyed this as much as they, you know, the derogatory, the what has come to be a bit of a derogatory term of wag.
Yes.
Or very reductionist, has then meant that when Wayne and Jamie got involved, we then got the term Habs, which is husbands and boyfriends. And I'm here for that. So we have Colleen and Rebecca, and then we have the Habs that were with them. I'm here for that.
Bit of equality. We'll take that.
Yeah.
But Rebecca Vardy determined to press on, clear her name, apparently. So... a year after the initial post, there were some preliminary hearings, okay? So we're getting into some court stuff now.
Okay.
So it was mainly to clarify some legal points. The main one being that Mrs. Rooney's post. Mrs. Rooney, I'm going to be serious.
Is that what we're leaning to for the next few
I
sentences?
don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Being that Mrs. Rooney's post clearly referred to Mrs. Vardy herself, and the use of the word account did not by itself stop the post from being defamatory. So that's what they were going to look into. Indeed, they decided that not too much should be inferred from the use of the word account because the average reader, in inverted commas, would know exactly what was being alleged in the post. And being as most people concerned with reading Colleen Rooney's Instagram posts aren't going to be doing so with a particular legal eye.
Well, the only one that's doing it is Rebecca Vardy.
Well,
She's the only one that's reading it.
Well, yes, I know, but I mean
She did this reveal and then realised that it was only going out to Rebecca and thought, shit, I better put this on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
I forgot to change the settings.
Rebecca publicly responded to something that no one had seen.
Rebecca actually leaked it to The Sun, and The Sun, allegedly, and The Sun...
Allegedly, yeah. Very litigious. Yeah. So anyway, but this led to... And I'm going to read it out because it's really good, I think. The original post was analysed beautifully in the judgment notes that came down from Mr. Justice Warby. So here we go. This was, on its face, a considered post, using wording composed with some care. It would be clear to the ordinary reader from the outset that it was meant seriously and intended to convey a message of some importance. It tells a story. The story is one of careful investigation and builds to a revelation. The reader would pay more attention to this story than they might to a more obviously casual tweet or post. Mm-hmm. But I do not think it really matters how one approaches this publication, whether it is read swiftly and casually or at greater leisure, the impression conveyed is the same. The reader is told straight away that the message is about bad behaviour by someone who I trusted. The post then takes the form of a whodunit. Paragraphs 1 and 2 describe the behaviour. Paragraph 3 tells the reader that Miss Rooney had a suspicion about who it could be. Paragraphs 4 and 5 describe the process which she undertook to try and prove this. Paragraph 6, second sentence, states unequivocally the result of that process. Now I know for certain which account or individual it's come from. Mm-hmm. Paragraph 7 explains why Mrs. Rooney is certain, identifying the evidence and telling the reader that it clearly points to just one person. Paragraph 8 contains the reveal, identifying Mrs. Vardy. In my judgment, the tweet and post complained of clearly suggests that the claimant is the person who is guilty of wrongdoing, identified in paragraph 1. These were my thoughts when initially reading the words complained of in their context.
Right.
So he's thoroughly analysed the post.
So all I have from that, potentially then, is two outcomes I see here. Either she should be nominated for some form of BAFTA for writing, or B, evidently her text should be taught to GCSE English students because it is clearly an excellence in writing. It's been broken down categorically. All I'm seeing here is she's careful with her words and she writes them well and tells a good story. So Hollywood should snap her up.
Absolutely. And this is ripe for making a film, surely. Right, so... there was a suggestion by Colleen Rooney's defence, I don't get this, but that the use of so many dots before her big reveal diluted the meaning.
Yep. It gives air to it, you know?
Right, okay.
More space.
Well, you think someone might have got
Well, I think some people probably closed the tab, popped off, made themselves a drink, came back, treated it like an ad break.
Okay.
You know?
Well, Mr. Justice Warby did not agree.
Mr. Justice?
He said... I do not agree.
Is Justice his name?
No, I did.
You're
think
using
that
the correct titles.
But that's
Mr. Justice, like Dr. Sir, Dr. Sir Marcus Rashford.
It's like a judge thing. Yeah. Not sure I realised that until we got onto the trial judge, who is Mrs. Justice. And I thought that's a coincidence. But
they share the same name. Seems to be some form of nepotism in this court system.
Yeah. Nah, it's just I don't know what his first name is. Ian. He didn't agree. I do not agree with the defence submission, however attractively it is put, that the use of multiple dots followed by the word account in paragraph 8 dilutes the meaning. Indeed, here we go, more analysis, Chuck, you'll enjoy this. Indeed, the element of suspense introduced by the multiple dots seems to be designed to raise expectations of a dramatic revelation. It tends to emphasise the importance of the name that is then provided. I love this. It would be a poor denouement if all that was being said was that the named individual was to be suspected of the wrongdoing, but it might be someone else.
I don't get why this level of what? Like, why is this? Why effectively everything they're just saying is celebrating her writing skill.
Well,
That's all I'm taking from this.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you? What if she just went, Rebecca Varney's a fucking slag and says all my pictures? What would that help? No. It's just got like, oh, it's fantastic. I love it. I love it so much.
Right, so the High Court's now suggesting that if she'd have put all those dots in and then not definitively revealed who she believed was the culprit, then it would have been a shit post. so after the dots, she
but they're
had to
not teaching a social media course. They're not teaching her how to bump up her fucking SEO.
That was like
hi guys,
analysis.
like and subscribe and join me for part 2 of the story. That's not what it is. She's not setting it up on TikTok. Oh my god, guys, you will never believe what happened to me the other day. 17 months later, we get part 2. No.
Although
effective writing.
Right, so yeah, as you may be able to infer from the excerpts of the 40-point, 10-page legal judgment that I read.
That you read. Hang on, that you read?
Yeah.
That you read?
Yeah, I wanted to pull the best
40
bits.
point,
40
10
points,
page.
10 page. Yeah, that's the mini one compared to later. Ultimately, the judge was unimpressed by Rooney's assertions, and it was deemed that Vardy's legal action was good enough to continue to a trial.
Ridiculous.
In this day and age, ridiculous.
Utterly ridiculous. No wonder the court system is in fucking shambles.
Yeah. Both parties were advised by the judge that they should attempt to seek a settlement to stop this going to court. Especially with Rebecca Vardy saying she had budgeted...
So already they're like, we really can't be bothered.
Well, yeah, the court is saying we shouldn't be bothering with stuff like this.
Right.
You know, saying...
This isn't the person who said it would go to court is now the person saying, don't go to court.
Well,
Could have cut this off at the beginning, mate.
But he's saying she's got a claim... But you really should be sorting this out yourselves. Vardy said she'd budgeted nearly £1 million for her legal fees for this action. But anyway...
Well, she doesn't need the money.
She doesn't need the money. Ultimately, things continue to the stage...
Hang on.
Oh.
What? She budgeted £1 million for it already?
Well, this is the thing. Like, if it went as long as it could have, she'd budgeted £1 million for it. But obviously, I presume Rooney would have to pay some of the legal fees if Vardy wins.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all to be... Because, you know, as we record now, there is still not a verdict in this case.
Still not a verdict.
So, you know, we don't actually know what's going to happen. Hopefully we'll get the second part out before that happens. Or
I mean,
I'd like it to break while we're recording, ideally.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I mean, can we influence the decision? Might we create a hung jury by someone listening to this?
Well, this is a civil matter, so we're okay to talk about it.
Thank you. I genuinely believe you've checked all of that as well.
We're not the only podcast that's talked about it, so we're fine on this. But
but not many people listen to us.
Yeah, well, that's why we've got away with a lot.
Right, got you.
That's why we've got away with a lot.
Trust this to be the one episode that goes big, and then Vardy's going to come for me. But she doesn't need the money.
It was always going to end this way.
She wouldn't fucking get it from me.
The second she did that post, it was always going to end this way. Right, so anyway, we're now to June 2021. There were some more hearings to determine what evidence would be admissible in the trial itself. You know, what can even be talked about, what it's worth
We're
talking
nearly
about.
up to a year ago.
Yes. This was called for again by Vardy in a hope to strike out a lot of Rooney's evidence, which would reduce her costs in having to prepare to fight the evidence. So she's hoping to bring down that nearly £1 million bill.
Postage.
Yeah, no. And also, she's hoping to strike out as much evidence as possible and hopefully force Rooney into settling.
Well, of course, because famously, the less evidence there is of your crime, the less likely you are to be convicted.
Yeah.
So if you hide the body really, really well, you're probably not going to go down for murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't think that's a revelatory thing to say.
Oh dear. So
suspicions were aroused. Sorry, why would you not like us to see all these things? Oh, all the incriminating facts?
God,
okay.
The stuff that made it in is ridiculous. Anyway, right. So Rooney's defence was originally going to include her building a picture of Rebecca Vardy as an attention seeker who had close links to the Sun newspaper. Mm-hmm. So Colleen's lawyer said even if it were established that the claimant has an exceptionally close relationship with the Sun, that it gave her positive... hang on, actually, I might be... It's Rebecca Vardy's lawyer, this one. I started reading and I was like, that doesn't sound like Colleen's lawyer, because I now know them.
Yeah. How many dots were there before Rebecca Vardy's lawyer there? Sorry. I just need to know, because I need to understand the denouement of what you're saying.
Denouement, I love that so much. I knew you'd like that. Right.
Yeah, thank you.
So Vardy's lawyer, even if it were established that the claimant has an exceptionally close relationship with the Sun, that it gave her positive coverage, that she has a history of self-promotion or is the secret wag, that's another thing we'll get to, does not mean that it's more likely than not that the claimant had regularly informed the Sun about the defendant's private posts.
I mean, because famously, people that the Sun is friends with and nice to, there's never any red flags or alarm bells there.
No
suspicion.
Most of the factual allegations which are made are in fact wrong, but considerable time and costs will be wasted in examining them. It will be a monumental waste of time and costs.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, a lot of these things were struck out. It was seen as it was reported as a bit of a victory for Vardy, but as you'll hear, there were plenty of embarrassing things that still made it through. Right, now we'll get up to February 2022. So we are motoring towards the present day.
So there is an acceleration. Okay,
Definitely.
Here we go.
But there's another pre-trial hearing. Rooney tried to add Rebecca Vardy's agent, Caroline Watt, to the mix, legally, so that she could essentially be seen as an extension of Vardy herself. That they can essentially be...
like some sort of puppet?
Like Venom. So if Caroline Watt was the one to have leaked all this, that essentially means that Vardy did it,
Yeah, okay.
But it also appears, which you've alluded to, absolutely, that a large collection of electronic correspondence was lost on the Vardy side.
Bizarre.
Through various slightly suspicious ways. The judgment states... The evidence on behalf of the claimant states that at the outset of the litigation, in the process of exporting the claimant's entire WhatsApp chat to a workspace that had been created by her solicitors, due to difficulties with the upload, the claimant selected the option to remove the images, files and videos.
Oh!
Annoying when that happens, isn't it? This is like fucking Alan Partridge with the Bangkok Chick Boys. What you did is you will have pressed yes. So instead of pressing send, she pressed delete.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Or back up, or restore, or save.
Why is that an option? Why is that an option on the solicitor's workspace thing that they've created?
I've tried before to delete stuff from WhatsApp, because obviously it saves in multiple locations in your phone. It's actually really fucking hard to delete everything properly. Because when you delete photos from a chat, you then have to go into the files of your phone through a file manager to then find where it's actually also saved. It's quite
just
hard.
Making a note of that. Right?
Yeah, just for future reference.
Yeah.
It's an
effort to do this badly, you're saying. The claimant's computer crashed twice while attempting to upload the images. During the process of exporting the data, the images, audio files and videos completely disappeared from the claimant's WhatsApp conversation with Mrs. Watt. The defendant relies on a note written by the claimant's digital forensics expert. So she's just got someone from Curry's to write her a note.
Yeah, well, they have a basic grasp of Latin, so they may as well be good enough to be a person of public standing in a trial.
Well, they described what occurred as somewhat surprising.
Somewhat surprising that every device you touch seems to just delete everything.
He said it was the possible result of an unusual combination of actions or events.
Yeah,
but,
pressing the delete button.
They weren't.
It's not very unusual, is it? What could have happened?
They no longer exist, Chuck. They no longer exist. There's nothing that can be done.
Yeah.
And when told in August that her phone would be required to be analysed for evidence, Caroline Watt, that very same month, had a little holiday mishap.
Oh dear!
The same month she was told that her phone would be required for analysis. The respondent's evidence is that in August 2021 she lost the mobile phone that she had used during the period. The respondent states that this occurred while on a boat trip during a holiday when the boat
trip.
hit a wave and she accidentally dropped her
Boat
phone.
hit a wave. Accidentally dropped her phone. Right.
Yeah. Her WhatsApp communications were not backed up on iCloud, although other information was. So she'd specifically clicked the button that said no.
Yeah.
The respondent's evidence is that she routinely deletes WhatsApp communications. Of course, we all do. We all go through...
Famously,
regularly.
I don't want to know what I've said or what people have said to me.
Of course, why would you?
Instantly when it comes in, just delete straight away.
With
I like
your
mystery.
boss.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so it's that, unfortunate. So, yeah.
Can we go back though?
Yeah, of course.
We're brushing past holiday on a boat in the North Sea.
Yes.
Yeah. What is the structure of said boat that would mean that hitting one wave would cause a phone to fly, thusly, out into the drink?
Yeah.
Also, who goes on holiday on a boat in the North Sea?
I've no idea.
Shit, these people don't need money, apparently.
Absolutely. Yeah, no need no need for any money. It's so odd, isn't it? I
can only assume it was some sort of rib with an outboard motor going very bumpy. She's thought, I'll take a picture. Oh, it's gone. No.
Oh, that's annoying. The court needed that.
Luckily, I've got the photos backed up.
Yeah.
So that's fine. My lovely glamorous photos of the North Sea.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
So, right. So we're getting to the end now because we're getting towards the trial, and like I say, we'll cover that another time. We're already running long, and I thank you so much for indulging me, Chuck. But
I'm loving this.
So am I. So
it's been 45 minutes now.
Dear God. So yeah, they both always delete their WhatsApp messages, but some exchanges were found. So not that well, obviously. Including one where Vardy says to her agent, "I'd love to leak those stories."
Sorry, what? Sorry, 1 second. Go back again. Sorry, what was that?
There was a message found from Vardy to her agent where she says she'd love to leak those stories.
Right.
Yeah. Another exchange between Vardy and her agent is pretty amazing, again, when you consider Vardy's the one bringing the action, and it describes pretty much exactly what Vardy's defence is, although Vardy isn't the one defending. You must remember that.
Yep, you must remember.
Little side
She is the assailant.
Yeah.
Sorry, claimant. Sorry.
The legal assailant.
Apologies.
I prefer that. So, little side note.
Well, it just makes sense with defendant, doesn't it?
It does.
If you're defending, one person's defending, the other's attacking. It's a football thing.
Yeah.
You know?
So, this should be considered when I read this exchange out, Chuck. Every single message that Caroline Watt and Rebecca Vardy send to each other is signed off with a kiss.
Deleted.
No, well, we had then deleted, presumably immediately.
Delete.
Even when these messages are seconds apart, or like the continuation of a thought, they're still signed off with a kiss. Right?
Always a kiss.
I only mention that because it's weird to me, given the nature of the exchange I'm about to read. Okay. So, Caroline, if she does try to say it, or that it was me, and it's undeniably obvious, what we'll do is say I left the company I was working for in January, and one of the girls in the office has my old laptop that your passwords had your password saved on it, so it will have been them, and now you will have to change everything. Kiss. Rebecca Vardy, I've messaged her. Kiss. It's delivered. I swear she better not me off. Kiss.
Kiss.
Caroline, no, I messaged him, I'm presuming that's a journalist, and he said absolutely not, and he would never say what his source was for anything at all. I know he wouldn't either. Kiss. So this is, I mean, she's using as a verb. And then she better not me off, kiss. It's so weird. It's so weird, Chuck. I reading it just makes no sense.
Kiss just makes it. What is if it wasn't me, but if they prove it was undeniably me, if it looks like it was definitely me,
the defence they're using.
It's not me, but if they make it look like it might be me,
And it's
Which it is,
undeniably obvious.
and it was me, and it was us. What we'll do is we'll say it was this other person on this laptop. Presumably, that was the one where everything just got deleted. Or it was another laptop, which, why is she logging in on someone else's laptop, that they just went Control-Alt-Delete on everything.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So, right, and now we come to the end, because this is it before the trial starts proper. And this is now Mrs. Justice Stain, who
Mrs. Justice
she then goes on to,
his wife.
Yeah, I presume so.
Obviously,
she then goes on to be the actual judge in the trial, but ultimately judged that the solicitors needed to be more involved in the disclosure of evidence, because it very much looked like both sides were just picking and choosing what they wanted to disclose to the other side. No
Fair.
fucking shit.
Really sounded like that.
Yeah. But she also decided that Caroline Watt, the agent, could not be added to the case by Rooney, as it was just too late. She should have, she should have countersued or whatever, like the original post should have included her. So that Caroline
Done
Watt
on a technicality.
isn't called as a witness if it turns out that she did it or whatever. If it's the judge's judgment that she did it, then Vardy might not be as liable as she maybe thought, or certainly Colleen thought. So I mean, we're there now, Chuck. The scene's set. There was no out of court settlement forthcoming.
There was none.
So the trial goes ahead in May 2022, and that's where we're going to leave it for now.
That's where we'll leave it for now. I mean, I'm already on a roller coaster ride of me off.
You better not me off. Yes. Yeah.
And it's just, there's layers to, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't believe what wasn't being disclosed as evidence. If the evidence that was disclosed was
pre-trial,
look, we've done it, we did it. If they get close to proving that we did it, we'll just say someone else done it. Like, what?
This is just a pre-trial.
This is just a pre-trial. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Not at all, mate. I'm so delighted to be able to share with you and whoever wants to listen to this. This is your fault, really, Patreons. If you want to join us, you can go to patreon.com/milesofsidepod. Is this a good time to promo? I don't know. But
this podcast is as much likely as anything that people would have made it to the end.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I don't really know how to end now, other than say thank you for allowing me to sort of vent that. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favourite subjects to talk about. Mm-hmm. And you're obviously doing a lot of pre-season pods with specific fans of specific clubs. So that's interesting. And we'll see what their pre-season thoughts are. And we'll at some point be back with part 2. And as I say, hopefully it'd be brilliant if the judgment came down as we were recording one afternoon.
God, imagine.
I'd love that so much.
Or we get more content.
Oh, it'd be good. It'd be good. But yeah, thanks for listening, Chuck, and thanks for listening, everyone. And we'll see you with part 2 very soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Kiss.